Welcome to the NFL Week 8 recap here for the 2022-2023 season sim. Let's get things started with Thursday Night Football, which took place in the Meadowlands. The Bears are finally winners this year. They win 10-9 over the Giants in an upset, and Chicago moves to 1-7 on the season. 92 yards passing, though, for Simeon. It wasn't pretty, as the Giants fall to 5-3. Daniel Jones had a rough night, and overall for the Giants, it's just one that they're going to have to really focus on going into their bye week as they play Philadelphia in Week 10, which that's going to be very tough for them. Speaking of the Eagles, they played in London against the Jaguars and won 24-6. Another big win for the Eagles, who've only allowed 6 points the last 2 weeks. Jalen Hurts with 228 yards passing, 2 TDs. Sanders a TD. A.J. Brown looking great again. Trevor Lawrence, an interception on the day. Not good for him. Evan Ingram starting to fit into that role as a tight end for the Jaguars. They slipped to 3-5. Eagles are 8-0, still the only undefeated team left in the league. The Rams, they upset the Dallas Cowboys on the road 23-20, and a big win for the defending Super Bowl champions, who get back to 500. They're now 4-4 as they go into their bye week. 276, a TD and a pick for Stafford, as Prescott 214, a TD and 2 interceptions. Very rough for him. Cody Parkinson for the Rams, out of nowhere, having a big game, 5 for 84 and a TD in the reception category. The Panthers, they get a huge win, 34-17, and they had 3 offensive touchdowns this game without Baker Mayfield or Christian McCaffrey, which was the total they had the entire season coming into this game. Walker with 177 yards passing and a TD. Chuba Hubbard, his best game as a Panther. Davis Mills threw 3 interceptions. I mean, it was rough for the Texans offense. 0 second-half points for them. They slipped to 1-6. The Falcons, they came back late, but the Dolphins were able to pull away there in the fourth quarter. They won 34-20 as they improved to 5-3. Falcons dropped to 3-5. They play Baltimore on Thursday next week. Mariota looked all right. Tua with 4 TDs. Best game since coming back with the toe injury he suffered in Week 2, his second game back. Throws for nearly 270. Tyreek Hill had a monster day, 5 for 118 and 2 TDs. The Titans, they hold off the Colts as Indy was trying to come back and take advantage, but Tennessee wins on the road. They improved to 4-3-1, 214, 3 TDs for Tannehill. Derrick Henry went off on another big game. Matt Ryan just still looking just a meh quarterback for the Colts. They're now 3-5, and some considerations about starting Sam Ehlinger have circled through the air for the Colts. So we'll see if they actually do that. The Lions, they beat the Steelers on the road 23-13, a closer game than a lot of people expected. Pittsburgh came in here as favorites, and then the Lions win it. Jared Goff had a good day. Amon-Ra St. Brown over 100 yards receiving. TJ Hawkinson had a great day as well. Kenny Pickett looked all right. Just a late interception really screwed them over. They were down by 7, and then the Lions scored that field goal to make it a 10-point game, and that just hurt the rest of the game. Buffalo, they get their redemption on the Jets after losing in Week 6. They blow them out in New Jersey in Week 8, 39-15. Josh Allen threw for 336. Stephon Diggs, 142 of those yards for 2 TDs. Mike White threw 2 picks, but he threw for 243. Best game as a Jet. Garrett Wilson, 114 of those. There's not a lot in the rush game for both these teams. It was mostly through the air. Buffalo 6-2. Jets fall to 2-6. Then you have the Vikings taking on the Saints, 33-21. Good win for Minnesota after that loss to Dallas last week. They're now 7-1. Cousins 252 TDs. Jefferson, another good game. Andy Dalton looks better than Jameis Winston, but we'll see truly or not they stick with Andy Dalton or they switch to like Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston again, depending on the performance. Kamara with 2 TDs rushing as well. That was also big in the Saints' points. Game of the week on CBS, you got the Buccaneers winning 27-16 over the Chargers, who have now dropped 2 in a row, as Tom Brady and the Bucs starting to get back on the right track. They were 3-3, now they're 4-3, back above 500, as Brady and Herbert having strong days. Palmer having a huge day for the Chargers. Chris Godwin caught a touchdown for the Buccaneers, who now are in front of the Falcons by 1 game in the NFC South. The Cardinals, they win their second game in a row. They beat the Commanders 19-14 after Carson Wentz got benched in the third quarter after just 10 for 26, 49 and a pick. Taylor Heineke came in and did much better. And in fact, he is the starter next week when the Commanders go to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. Kyler Murray had a decent game, no TDs for him. James Conner had the only rushing touchdown as the Cardinals ran the ball most of the day. Then you have the Seahawks taking on the Patriots, the fourth and final game of the 4 o'clock slate. They win that game 30-14. And Seattle quietly sitting at 5-3, and they'll host the 49ers next week. The Patriots are 3-5. They play Buffalo next week, so 2 rival games for these 2 teams. We'll see how their performance goes next week and whether or not these two can, Seattle can keep the winning streak going. And if they win that game against San Francisco, they can possibly lead their division. Sorry, this is the fourth and final 4 o'clock game. The Vikings game was not in the 4 o'clock slate, but the Chiefs beat the Raiders as Mahomes threw for 305 and 5 TDs, a monster game for him on just 5 incompletions. Carr, on the other hand, 2 picks, and now the Raiders slipped to 3-5. Chiefs are 6-1, and right now there's a good chance that they can possibly go as far as 9-1 based on the strength of their schedule. Sunday Night Football on NBC, a big upset, 29-12. That's kind of that upset season as the Browns get the win over Cincinnati. Joe Burrow is now 0-5 against the Cleveland Browns in his career. Cincinnati's dropped 2 in a row. Great game out of Jacoby Brissett and Nick Chubb, along with Amari Cooper, having one of his best days as a Brown. That stat line there, Jamar Chase locked up pretty much the whole game. Tyler Boyd was the main receiver for Cincinnati. Then Monday Night Football in Lambeau Field. Both teams coming off a bye. Baltimore wins 24-16. The Packers had 6 first-half points and 10 fourth-quarter points. Not enough to challenge as Baltimore 6-1 as well. As Lamar didn't really throw too much. Rodgers struggled as the Packers are 4-3 and in a tough situation right now. They've got to find that consistency or else it may mean a playoff miss for the Packers. Here at the standings, Chiefs and Ravens 6-1 in the AFC, Buffalo 6-2, Titans 4-3-1 lead the AFC South. Then you have Miami and Cincinnati split at 5-3, and the Browns at 4-3 with the tiebreaker over the Chargers based on better division record. Those are the 7 teams in the AFC right now. Pittsburgh, the Jags, and the Colts, along with the Patriots, sitting all right there at 3 wins. Then in the NFC, you have Philadelphia 8-0, Vikings at 7-1, with the 49ers at 5-2. Forgot to mention that them and Denver were on a bye this week. And then you have Tampa Bay at 4-3, Cowboys 6-2, Giants at 5-3, and the Seahawks at 5-3, who have an advantage over the Packers, Rams, and Lions, who are all within striking distance. Still a long way to go for everyone to gather up and make the playoffs. This is ASC signing off.